Hello, Michigan Realtors, and welcome back to Letter of the Law. A number of brokers and salespersons have asked whether it is legal for potential buyers to take photographs of a home that they are viewing. In this video, we'll discuss the legalities of taking such photos and particularly whether this practice could be considered an invasion of the seller's privacy. Our first question, of course, is why would a buyer want to photograph a seller's home? Some potential buyers may want to take photos so that they have a better recollection of the home when they are weighing their options and comparing that home with other homes that they have viewed. Other buyers might want photos to remember how the home was decorated or what appliances and fixtures were shown with the home. Our second question is, why would the seller care if a potential buyer takes a photograph of their home? After all, there are already myriad photographs of the home posted on the MLS, so it seems as though the sellers have already consented to allowing their home to be photographed by the potential buyers, right? Not necessarily. The sellers do have a legal right to privacy and may believe that the photos published in the MLS should be sufficient. The sellers may also have concerns about the photos being taken for illegal purposes, such as casing the home to later burglarize it, or selling the photos for commercial purposes. So naturally, given these competing concerns, the answer to whether it is permissible for potential buyers to photograph a seller's home is, it depends. So what is Michigan's law on invasion of privacy? Now, Michigan law protects individuals from an invasion of their privacy. The immediate focus of any invasion of privacy claim is whether the complainant had a reasonable expectation of privacy. In Michigan, an unlawful invasion of privacy includes, among other things, 1. An intrusion into another's solitude or private affairs, or 2. Disclosure of private facts. There are 3 necessary elements to establish a case of intrusion into private affairs. 1. The existence of private subject matter. 2. A right possessed by the complainant to keep that subject matter private. And 3. The acquisition of that subject matter through some method objectionable to a reasonable person. Now, this type of invasion of privacy claim focuses on the manner in which the information was obtained. The other type of invasion of privacy claim involves the disclosure of private information, where it would be highly offensive to the reasonable person and when the information is of no legitimate concern to the public. While there is no existing case law directly on point, there is a very good argument that some types of photographs of another person's home could certainly result in an invasion of privacy claim, even if the home is listed for sale and generally accessible to members of the public. Location, location, location. The location from where the photo is taken is important. Generally speaking, if the photographer is on public property, such as a public street, he or she can photograph private property. So a potential buyer standing in the public street can photograph sellers' homes. If, however, the potential buyer is standing on private property, such as the inside of a seller's home, then that person's right to take photos of that seller's home is limited. When it comes to taking photographs of the inside of a seller's home, the line between what may be considered an invasion of privacy and what might be considered reasonable is not so easily drawn. There is no bright line legal formula or test. One way to approach this is from the potential buyer's perspective and ask, am I buying it? That is the item or subject of the photograph something that would be included with the sale of the home? If the answer is yes, then arguably the buyer should be able to photograph the item. Simply put, sellers should not have a reasonable expectation of privacy in something they are trying to sell and want potential buyers to see. Under this analysis, potential buyers can certainly take photographs of, for example, the kitchen cabinetry or a fireplace. What about personal possessions located within the home? In most cases, the potential buyer will not be purchasing the seller's personal effects, and most of us would consider our personal possessions to be private. If an item is not being purchased by the buyer, but the buyer finds the item novel or interesting, then it seems much more likely that his taking a photograph of the item would be viewed as an invasion of privacy. This is particularly true if the buyer shares the photograph with others or posts that photo online. Again, location plays a key role in this analysis. Furniture, for example, is typically not included in the sale of the home and ordinarily would be considered private. However, given the fact that furniture is typically located throughout the home in plain sight and in areas of the home which the seller knows will be viewed by potential buyers, it is highly unlikely that sellers would have a reasonable expectation of privacy in their furniture. But what about family photos and other memorabilia sitting upon furniture, such as in a bookcase or on top of a desk? Here too, the items are personal possessions and generally thought of as much more personal than furniture. Certainly, these are items that are not being purchased by the potential buyer. Again, the items are in plain view and in areas of the home that a seller should not reasonably expect to be private to a potential buyer. However, the answer may be determined not so much by location, but by what is being photographed. Taking a picture of a room in a house in which personal family photographs are located may not constitute an invasion of privacy. In this situation, the appearance of the family photo in the background of a photograph of the room is merely incidental. However, if the potential buyer takes a picture of the family photo all by itself, this is different. In this latter situation, the taking of the picture is more likely to be considered an invasion of the seller's privacy. Let's take this analysis one step further. What about potential buyers photographing the contents of the seller's furniture, such as the contents of a desk drawer, nightstand, or jewelry box? Again, it's likely that photographs taken of the actual pieces of furniture would not cross the line of invading the seller's privacy. But the contents of the furniture are not in plain sight and are not being purchased by the potential buyer. The contents of furniture are in the location in which the seller has a legitimate expectation of privacy and should not be photographed. What about the closets? Do sellers have a legitimate expectation of privacy in the contents of their closets? After all, the buyer is purchasing the closet itself. The buyer is not, however, purchasing its contents, and the items in the closet are not in plain sight. Here the answer may again depend upon what is being photographed. If the items in the closet are personal but not typically considered private, such as bath towels, coats, and linens, and photographing them is incidental to taking a picture of the closet, then it's probably not an invasion of privacy. If the subject of the photograph is of more private items, such as a safe, then that could be a different story. The seller probably has a reasonable expectation of privacy in the location of his or her safe. The same goes for medications and other pharmaceutical products contained in closets or medicine cabinets or drawers. These are items that should never be photographed, as it could lead to the inadvertent disclosure of a seller's illness or disability and an invasion of privacy. So what are the best practices? In these scenarios, the best approach to risk management is to use common sense and err on the side of caution. If the item to be photographed is questionable as to its private nature, a buyer should not take a picture. Overall, buyers should conduct themselves in a reasonable manner when photographing the property they view. Potential buyers should not take, publish, or disclose photos in a way that would reveal private and potentially embarrassing facts about the sellers. And potential buyers should not use any photographs taken for any purpose other than to determine if they want to buy the home. Once a home is eliminated from their consideration, those photos should be promptly deleted. Now, on the seller's side, realtors would be wise to advise the sellers to remove from plain sight any personal items they do not want photographed, like family memorabilia, a gun collection, antiques, or expensive artwork. Such items can be taken off-site or stored in areas of the home in which the seller has a legitimate and reasonable expectation of privacy. Thank you for tuning in to another installment of Letter of the Law. For more information on this topic, be sure to check out next month's From the Mailbag. And if you like our video series format and would like to earn legal continuing education credit for watching our videos, be sure to check out CE My Way by clicking the link above. As always, send any questions or suggestions for future video topics to the email listed below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.